Hi guys, welcome back to the next part of the series. So, as I mentioned in the last video, today we're going to be focusing on the simple retopology such as this one, the handle, things like that. So, retopology can be very daunting, especially when we're dealing with this sort of things, like you can see all of these little bolts and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to do all of the retopology for those guys. Don't worry, this guy's simple geometry, right? Like if you remember from the wireframe, these are very simple beveled effects, so we actually don't need to retopologize this guys. We just need to clean them up, be like, okay, these are going to be bolts underscore low, and we're going to bring the bolts into our low poly element right here. And then we're going to shift and D to duplicate them. Let's unhide them, shift D. And these are going to be the exact same bolts, but these are just going to be underscore high. Now, if you want to go the extra mile, and I know you guys want to do that because you want to create amazing things, one of the things that we can do, for instance, for this like high poly bolts is that we can throw in, well, first of all, let's apply the mirror. We can throw in a subdivision surface modifier and just give them a couple of divisions and apply. So this is going to be my high poly of the elements, which is just the exact same like little element that we had before. Like we're really not changing anything. If you remember, let's go to solid. There we go. So it's just the exact same thing, but they're just gonna bake a little bit more curvature and softness onto our elements later on. So this is a great way to save ourselves a little bit of trouble here. Let's hide them right here. Let's get out of the elements. And one of the cool things about doing this is that we're gonna be like removing things that we don't need anymore. For instance, all of this guys, right? All of the supports that we have, just Control J to combine them into a single element. It seems like we have a subdivision surface right here. Let's get rid of it because this is going to be our low poly. There we go. So let's just quickly analyze the low poly, make sure that we don't have a lot of geometry. There we go. So 2,236 triangles. It might seem like a little bit too much. Actually, I feel like it's a little bit too much compared to the amount of things that we're seeing. It could be because of the bevels, right? Let's do a quick mirror here because we're also missing the other side. So we're going to do a mirror. There we go. And let's apply. So 4,000 faces. This is a little bit high. And I'm trying to see why that could be. Do we have like duplicated faces? Because on the render, see how we get like this weird shadows right there? That shouldn't be happening. Let's go to right click, shade smooth. Let's try a quick render right there. Yeah, so one of the things that I'm thinking that might be happening, let's go to face mode and let's grab linked, is that we have double faces. So if we do G, no, it's a single face. Let's do G. Yeah, those look like single faces. So I'm not sure why we're getting this error. Let's go back to solid mode real quick and let's solve this. Could be that all of the faces are connected. There we go. See that? So as you can see, what happened here is at some point I like doubled the amount of whatever tool I was using. So let's go back a couple of elements right here before the combination. There we go. And if we isolate this guys, and this guys, we should be able to see what's going on. So it probably was some like this subdivision modifier here. I'm not gonna have it. There we go, 672 faces, that's a lot more manageable. Same for this one, let's get rid of that one. 624 faces, that's good. The mirror, let's apply it. And 1200 triangles, that's fine for those as well. And finally, let's apply this mirror, and that's 664. There we go. So now we grab all of this and Control J. 3,000 faces for all of this element, that seems a lot more manageable, especially because we have the bevel elements. And if we go to render, we shouldn't, there we go, we don't have any error. So that tells me that we are in a good position right now. Remember, that render is from the clay render that we were using before. So this is going to be, I'm going to call this axe armor underscore low. And that one's going to go, of course, into our low polys. And we're going to shift D to duplicate this. And this is going to be axe armor high. And this is going to go over here. And on the hide one, as we've mentioned before, this high one that we have right here, we can throw in a subdivision surface modifier with 2 divisions and apply. So that we get a softer, smoother effect on the whole thing. And that information that we have right there is what's going to be baked onto the low poly. I'm a little bit concerned about that one, but that actually looks like scratches, so should be fine. Cool. So now this one right here, the low polys, we can hide them. And as you can see, little by little, we're eliminating things that we no longer need, and that's gonna as well make the whole thing a lot easier. So let's apply all of the modifiers for this ones right here for the spikes. So all of the spikes modifier I'm gonna apply. There we go, which were the mirror modifiers. Let's again Control J to combine them. This is gonna simplify the amount of points that we have. Let's call this handle spikes underscore low. This ones we don't apply a subdivision modifier, we just duplicate. And the reason we just duplicate is because if we were to apply a subdivision modifier, we're gonna get a really weird distortion because we don't have proper like edge loops. So it's just like spikes and the spikes over here. And very important, on the low spikes, on this ones, we do want to delete the faces. So all of these faces that we have on the inside, we don't want to have them on our final element. Just press X and delete the faces. Oh, X and delete faces. There we go. We can finally just right click and shade smooth. Very important. Oh, careful there. Got some weird issues. Is that a face? I think it's a face. There we go. So that should give us... Did I have double faces? It seems like I had double faces or something. I was pretty sure we had like solved that issue. Let me just grab this, press G. There we go. See that? We also have some weird like double faces there. Quick way to solve this because it's a relatively common thing, especially with mirrors. Just grab all of the vertices, go into vertex mode, grab all of the vertices, and we'll go to vertex. We're just gonna say M and merge by distance, and we're gonna say 0.001, and there we go. So if you have two like points that were on the same place, now they should be like completely combined. It's also gonna bring the triangle amount way lower. So since I already know that the handle spikes high were bad, I'm just gonna delete those. I'm just gonna grab this handle spikes low and just Shift D again and bring them into the high option. Handle spikes high. There we go. So again, one of the great things about doing this is that it's gonna allow us to remove, or not remove, to wait a second, handle spikes high, handle spikes low. There we go. It's gonna allow us to start like seeing less pieces on our elements, and that's gonna make it more manageable. Again, one of the things that I find about retopology that makes it really difficult for people is that they feel like they're not advancing, or that they're not like finishing or doing the whole thing. So the more pieces we can like eliminate in this simple way, the better. I'm gonna get rid of the subdivision modifier for the cylinder, and the cylinder has like very simple like lines as well. Again, one of the things, we had this bevel at the top. We don't need that bevel anymore. So all of those faces we can delete. Same for this one, and this one. We can delete all of those faces, and we're just going to be left with this super simple cylinder. 64 faces, that's more than enough, and we're going to get a nice result. So this is going to be handle underscore low. This goes to the low polys, and we duplicate, Shift D, and this is going to be handle underscore high. Goes into the high polys. There we go. And again, little by little, we're eliminating the easy pieces, and then we're going to be able to go on to the next ones. Now, for this one, I wanted to show you another technique that we can use that's very simple. If you remember, when we were creating this element, this was just a nicely beveled, like 6-sided cylinder, right? Well, we can actually just redo it. If we go back here to cylinder, and we make the cylinder a 6-sided cylinder, and we just start scaling this down, we can pretty much match the exact same thing that we had before. And if we match it, it's going to be a lot easier to just create that low poly without having to go into Retopoflow and things like that. So just like manually creating the cage for an element, it's also a really good way to generate this effect. So for instance, here, GNC, I'm going to push it right there. I'm going to go into, wireframe mode, grab the top vertex right here, GNC, bring them down. We can scale on Z, remember, with the shift. Scale Z and shift. There we go. So we get that effect right there. And then we can scale on X. Actually, we need to scale the whole thing on X. And as you can see, we get really close to the actual element. We can grab can grab this face right here and this one right here and scale on the Y again to get as close as possible. And there we go. Got how close we got to the actual shape. Yes, we are missing, for instance, the like the chamfer right there or the effect right there. But here's another trick that I'm gonna show you. Let's go to solid mode. I'm gonna go to the modifiers and I'm gonna add a bevel modifier. I'm gonna do two segments and a small fraction right around there. There we go. And then I'm gonna apply this. Let's bring these two guys or isolate them so that we can work with this a little bit easier. And there's another thing that we can do that's really, really cool. I'm gonna scale this up a little bit more. There we go. And we can use a very cool modifier. Let's apply first everything. So apply all transforms. We can apply a modifier called the string wrap modifier, which is exactly what the thing is doing when we do retopoflow. It's trying to go around the object. So by doing the string wrap modifier and by selecting this as the high poly, as you can see, I've successfully like modified this a little bit so that it matches a little bit closer to what we had on the original element. Okay. Now, will this give us a perfect bake? Actually, let me make sure that I am selecting the proper cylinder 2, cylinder 1. Yeah, cylinder 1. Okay. So, yeah. So if we select again cylinder 2, as you can see, we're doing this element. We can offset things a little bit, and what it will do, or what it will try to do, is it will try to match the perfect position of the element. You can see, for instance, this face right there, that sort of like artifacts that we're seeing, that tells me that we're doing a nice match over onto that object. So once I'm happy, I'm just gonna hit apply, and this new piece right here, not that one, the low poly version, this one right here, is going to be the new FX. So just shade smooth, and that's going to be the pommel. Yes, we're not capturing like every single cut, but all of the information there is going to be baked down into the element. If we want to be a little bit more precise, then of course we can go into retopo mode. And it's actually fairly simple. Let me just say real quick. I'm just going to grab this piece again, go retopo flow, and set this to add active. Shouldn't be that heavy, like the mesh should be fairly light. Let's just wait for this to finish. There we go. So now we just need to go out of the element. Make sure that we don't have any like weird names right here. As you can see, we have Retopo Flow, but we should be able to select this one right here. I'm just going to apply all transforms. And if we go into edit mode, we should be able to start Retopo Flow with this new selected mesh. And one of the things that we're going to be able to do, or should be able to do, is just, for instance, the tweak mesh or the move brush to move some of the bevel points that we had and just accommodate them a little bit closer to this like effect that we had on our guard. So let me again just wait for this to load. And there we go. So now we can just go to the relax option, and the relax is a little bit strong right now. I think we can change with shift F, we can change the strength. So I'm gonna make this a lot less intense. There we go. See how nice that holds to that edge right now? So it gives us a slightly better effect. Let's go to the other side. I still feel like it's a little bit too strong. So there we go. That's a lot better. So we just relax the points a little bit, and that's gonna enable us or give us a smoother bake later on. So yeah, that's it, my friends. As we just went through all of these elements, I hope you understand that not every single piece that we use needs to go through the whole like retopology process. There are certain pieces like this one right here that we can make again or just like restart from the very beginning. And there's others that are very simple and we don't even need to do anything. Final thing on this piece right here, this guy and this guy, we're just gonna go to face and do a poke faces to make sure that we don't have any angons. We're gonna call this, I believe this was the, let's call this the pommel ring. I'm gonna call it underscore low. And again, same exact name for this other one right here, which is gonna be pommel ring underscore high. We bring the underscore high into the highs and the underscore low into the lows. And there we go. So as you can see, very few pieces left. Yes, these are the more complex ones, so it's gonna take a little bit longer. But we're almost ready with the whole like poly thing construction. Like even if we go over here, you can see that we have all of these pieces ready for our high poly, and we're only at 6,000 triangles. So 6,000 triangles for all of these pieces is perfectly good. We got a good number, and we've already captured a very nice detail overall. So another thing, this is a very important thing. We can go here to solid, and if we can go to the navigation here. So we can turn on the geometry, and we can take a look at the density of the elements, and you can see that we're very optimized on the overall thing. Like we're not having anything that's super dense or super low poly. This gives me a really good feeling about the later texturing phase that we're going to be doing. So yeah, that's it for this one, my friends. I'm going to stop the video, and I'll see you back on the next one when we start doing the handle, the rock handle. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next video.